Security. The millionaire banker's voice echoed through the marble lobby. Remove this street child from my building immediately. The 12-year-old black boy stood frozen, holding a worn envelope. Dirt was still on his face after days without running water. What the banker didn't know was that the screen behind him showed a balance that would soon wipe the smile from his face. In 60 seconds, everything he believed about success, worth, and respect would break apart. The morning sun bounced off the glass towers of Manhattan's financial district. Golden light poured over a world Isaiah had only ever watched from the outside. At 12, he already knew there were two kinds of people in this city: those who belonged in buildings like these, and those who cleaned them after everyone else went home. Today, for the first time, Isaiah was about to cross that line. His sneakers, too big and patched with duct tape, squeaked on the marble floor as he pushed through the heavy revolving doors of Sterling and Associates Private Banking. Cold air hit him like a wall, a sharp change from the summer heat outside where he had spent hours trying to build up courage to walk in. The lobby was unreal. Marble columns rose high toward a gold-trimmed ceiling. Crystal chandeliers glowed over leather chairs that looked too perfect to sit on. Everything smelled like flowers, polish, and something else he could only describe as money, success, and belonging, things he had never known. Isaiah held the envelope in his pocket. Inside was a bank card. His hands were still dirty. The water in his building had been out for 3 days. He could feel the rough smudge on his dark skin that he had tried and failed to wash off that morning at a public fountain. "May I help you?" The voice came from a woman behind a long reception desk. She looked at him the way people in this part of town always did, like he was an accident that had wandered in from the street. Isaiah's voice cracked. He swallowed hard. "I need to check my balance." Her eyebrows lifted slightly. "I'm sorry, young man, but this is a private bank. You might be looking for the branch down the street." "I have an account here," Isaiah said quickly. "I have a card." He pulled the envelope out with shaking hands and showed her the black card that had arrived 6 months ago. He had been too afraid to use it until now, afraid it was a mistake that might get him in trouble. But yesterday, when Mrs. Johnson at the corner store said she couldn't give him food on credit anymore, he knew he had no other choice. The woman's look changed from annoyance to confusion. The card was real, the logo matched, but she clearly didn't believe what she was seeing. How could a boy who looked homeless have an account at one of the most exclusive banks in New York? "I see," she said slowly. "You'll need to speak with one of our account managers. Please wait over there." Isaiah barely heard her. He was staring at the man walking across the lobby. The nameplate on the large desk said it all: William Sterling III. Even Isaiah, who knew little about banking, had heard the name. William Sterling's face was on billboards all over the city, always smiling with the kind of confidence that came from never worrying about anything. At 45, he was one of the most powerful private bankers in the country. He managed money for celebrities, tech moguls, and families who had been rich for generations. His suit probably cost more than Isaiah's mother had made in a year. His polished shoes reflected the chandelier light. His silver hair was perfectly styled, and the watch on his wrist, a Patek Philippe, could have fed every kid in Isaiah's building for a month. William Sterling was everything Isaiah wasn't: powerful, respected, untouchable. And now he was looking straight at Isaiah with open disgust. "Jennifer," Sterling called to the receptionist. "Is there a reason we're allowing street children into the building? I thought we had security for this sort of thing." The words hit Isaiah hard. Around the lobby, well-dressed clients turned to stare. His face burned with shame and anger. "Sir, the boy says he has an account," Jennifer began. "An account?" Sterling laughed. "Look at him, Jennifer. Dirt on his face, clothes from a dumpster. The only account he knows is probably at the liquor store." Soft laughter spread across the lobby. A woman in pearls covered her smile with her hand. A man in a 3-piece suit muttered to his friend about the neighborhood going downhill. Isaiah wanted to run. Every instinct told him to leave and never look back. He had been foolish to think he could ever belong here. But then he thought of Mrs. Johnson's sad eyes, the eviction notice on his door, and his little sister Maya asking if they would have dinner tonight. He thought of his mother. "I have a card," he said again, louder this time. His voice shook, but he stepped forward. "I just want to check my balance." Sterling's amusement faded into irritation. He had expected the kid to run, not stand up to him. The fact that Isaiah was still here seemed to offend him. "Security," Sterling called out, then stopped the guards with a raised hand. Something in his expression changed, almost like curiosity, but colder. Actually, wait. Let's see this account of yours. Isaiah's knees felt weak as he walked forward. Every eye in the lobby followed him. His sneakers squeaked. The envelope in his hand felt heavy. When he reached the desk, he looked up at Sterling's smiling face. A smile that promised cruelty. "Let me guess," Sterling said loudly. "You found this card in the trash. Maybe stole it from a mailbox? That's a federal crime. I could have you arrested." "I didn't steal it," Isaiah said. "It came to my apartment. My name is on it." "Your name," Sterling repeated. "And what name would that be? Should I expect some secret heir under all that dirt?" Isaiah stood straight. "Isaiah Washington." Sterling typed on his keyboard, pretending patience. "Isaiah Washington," he said mockingly. "Let's see what we find." The typing seemed endless. Isaiah could hear his own heartbeat. Everyone in the lobby had stopped pretending not to listen. His hand went to his pocket, touching the small photo of his mother, smiling before she got sick, back when she still believed life could get better. Then Sterling stopped typing. His eyes froze on the screen. For a second, his confident face flickered, confusion, disbelief. Then he forced a smile. "Well, well," he said. "It seems you do have an account, Mr. Washington. How about that?" He paused dramatically. "Ladies and gentlemen, it appears we have a real client here. The account shows a balance of—" He stopped mid-sentence. His smile faltered. "The balance shows." Sterling's face changed again. Confusion, shock, then something close to fear. "That's impossible," he whispered, too quiet for anyone but Isaiah to hear. "That's absolutely impossible." William Sterling III had seen a lot in 23 years of private banking. He had watched tech entrepreneurs become billionaires overnight. He had seen old fortunes collapse and new ones rise. He had seen wealth that felt unreal. Money so large that it existed in a different world from normal people who worried about rent or groceries. But he had never seen anything like the number on his screen. It didn't make sense. It couldn't be real. It had to be a glitch. There was no way that this 12-year-old black boy standing in front of him, wearing torn clothes and duct-taped shoes, could have that kind of money in his account. "There seems to be a technical issue," William said, keeping his voice steady. "The system is showing. Well, it's clearly an error." "What does it say?" Isaiah asked quietly. William looked at him for the first time, really looked. The dirt on his skin wasn't from playing outside. It came from not having water at home. His clothes weren't just old, they were falling apart. The duct tape on his shoes wasn't a temporary fix. It was permanent. This was a child who lived in real poverty. And yet the screen said his account balance was $47 million. "Jennifer," William called, his voice tight. "Come here for a moment." The receptionist hurried over. "Yes, Mr. Sterling? I need you to check something. Look up the account for Isaiah Washington." He read off the account number and watched her face. Jennifer typed quickly. William saw her freeze. Her eyes widened and her face went pale. "Sir," she whispered, "the balance shows." "I know what it shows," William said sharply. "Is it the same on your terminal?" Jennifer nodded slowly. "Yes. 47.3 million. Last deposit 6 months ago. No withdrawals. No activity since it was opened." William's mind raced. It had to be money laundering. Or maybe it belonged to the boy's parents, criminals hiding assets. That was the only explanation that made sense. "Isaiah," William said, lowering his voice, "be honest with me. Where did you get this card?" "It came in the mail," Isaiah said. 6 months ago. With a letter." "A letter from who?" "My mom," Isaiah said, voice cracking. "Before she died." The lobby went silent. William felt something he didn't recognize at first, shame. But he pushed it away. "I see," he said carefully. "And your mother was?" "A cleaning lady," Isaiah said, lifting his chin. "She worked 3, sometimes 4 jobs. Cleaned offices at night, worked at a laundromat during the day. Whatever she could find." That made even less sense. A cleaning lady with $47 million? "Isaiah, is it possible your mother was involved in something illegal?" William asked, trying to sound polite. "Sometimes people under pressure make choices that—" "My mom wasn't a criminal," Isaiah said sharply. His voice was steady now. "She was the best person I ever knew. She worked herself to death trying to give me and my sister a better life." Around the room, people shifted uncomfortably. The woman in pearls looked at the floor. The man in the suit stared at his phone. "Of course," William said quickly. "I didn't mean to suggest otherwise. Let's move this to a private area. Jennifer, please escort Mr. Washington to conference room B. Actually, said a new voice, I'll take it from here. William turned to see Thomas Anderson walking toward them. Thomas was 63, a senior account manager who had been with the bank for over 30 years. He had a reputation for being calm, fair, and unimpressed by William's ego. Thomas, I'm handling this, William said, trying to sound in control. No, William, Thomas replied calmly. You're making a scene, and you're about to make a serious mistake. He turned to Isaiah with a kind expression, the first kind face Isaiah had seen all day. Hello, Isaiah. My name is Thomas Anderson. Would you come with me? We can sort this out somewhere more comfortable. Isaiah hesitated, looking between the two men. Then he nodded. As Thomas led Isaiah toward the elevators, William stood frustrated. Thomas, I think I should be present. You've done enough, Thomas said over his shoulder. Go take care of your clients. I'll handle this. The elevator doors closed. The lobby was silent. Everyone had seen what happened. William Sterling III, humiliated by a 12-year-old boy who apparently had more money than half the people in the room. He sat down, pretending to work, but he could feel the eyes on him. For the first time in years, William felt something heavy, shame. Upstairs, in a quiet conference room, Thomas made Isaiah feel something he hadn't felt since walking in safe. First things first, Thomas said, pouring a glass of water. Are you hungry? I can get you something to eat. Isaiah's stomach growled. He nodded, embarrassed. Thomas smiled and picked up the phone. He ordered sandwiches, fruit, and cookies. Enough for 3 people even though there were only 2. When the food arrived, he waited for Isaiah to take the first bite. Better? Thomas asked. Isaiah looked up suspiciously. Why are you being nice to me? Everyone else here treats me like I don't belong. Because unlike William Sterling, I remember what it's like to have nothing, Thomas said. I grew up in Harlem in the 60s. My dad was a bus driver, my mom cleaned houses. I was the first in my family to go to college, and I worked 3 jobs to get there. Isaiah studied him, but Thomas's eyes were sincere. Now, Thomas said, opening a tablet, let's talk about your account. It was opened 6 months ago by your mother, correct? I think so, Isaiah said. She never told me about it. I just got the card and a letter in the mail after she died. May I see the letter? Thomas asked gently. Isaiah took a folded paper from his pocket. It was worn and torn from being read so many times. He handed it over with trembling hands. Thomas unfolded it carefully and began to read. His expression softened as he went on. When he finished, he cleared his throat. Isaiah, he said quietly, your mother was an extraordinary woman. Isaiah's eyes filled with tears. Can you tell me where the money came from? We never had anything. We were always broke. Thomas looked at the letter again. His voice was gentle but heavy with emotion. 6 months ago, your mother came here through the service entrance while she was working. She asked to see an account manager and told them her story. She said she was sick and didn't have much time. She wanted to make sure you and your sister would be cared for. Isaiah's hands tightened in his lap. She had been saving money for years, Thomas continued. Every extra dollar went into a shoebox under her bed. But the real money came from a life insurance policy she paid into for over 10 years. Small payments, maybe $20 or $30 a month, no matter how hard things were. He paused, looking Isaiah in the eyes. The policy was worth $50 million. Isaiah froze, his mind spinning. He thought about his mother working late, her tired smile, her promises that things would be better someday. And now he finally understood. She had kept that promise. The number was too big for Isaiah to understand. $50 million. It couldn't be real. But there's more, Thomas said gently. Your mother set up a trust with clear rules. The money is yours, but it's protected. You can't touch the full amount until you're 25. Until then, you'll receive a monthly allowance for everything you need: food, housing, school, and more. Isaiah stared at him, speechless. His mother, who had worked herself to exhaustion, worn the same clothes for years, and skipped meals so her children could eat, had somehow left them millions. Why didn't she tell me? Isaiah whispered. She explains it in her letter, Thomas said, placing his hand on the worn paper. She didn't want you to know she was dying. She wanted your last memories of her to be happy. She wanted you to remember her as strong, still taking care of you even after she was gone. There was a knock at the door. A young woman entered with a tray of sandwiches and fruit. She smiled kindly at Isaiah before leaving. Eat, Thomas said. We have more to talk about, but food first. Isaiah didn't need convincing. He ate quickly, hunger overpowering everything else. As he ate, Thomas explained more about the trust, and how Isaiah would need a legal guardian to manage things until he was older. What about my sister? Isaiah asked. Maya's only 8. Will this help her too? Yes, Thomas said. The trust covers both of you. Your mother made sure of that. Isaiah nodded and kept eating. Thomas's phone buzzed, and he frowned after reading the message. It seems William has been making calls, he said. He's questioning the legitimacy of your account. He's talking about contacting federal authorities. Isaiah's chest tightened. But it's not fake. My mom. I know, Thomas said firmly. And I have every document to prove it. The insurance papers, the trust forms. All of it is legitimate. William is just having trouble accepting that he was wrong. Isaiah looked down. He hates me. Thomas shook his head. He doesn't hate you. He hates being embarrassed. William Sterling built his whole career on being the smartest person in every room. You walked in looking like someone he could mock, and you turned out to be one of his wealthiest clients. Isaiah sighed. I'm not rich. I'm just me. Thomas smiled softly. You're a 12-year-old boy with a $47 million trust. Whether you feel rich or not, you are. Isaiah looked at his clothes, his shoes held together with tape. I don't feel rich. Give it time, Thomas said. Now let's talk about what happens next. Downstairs, William Sterling sat at his desk, trying to ignore the stares of everyone around him. He had never been this unsure before. His phone buzzed with a message from Thomas. Conference room B. Now. And William. Check your ego at the door. William clenched his jaw. Thomas Anderson had always been everything he wasn't, patient, kind, respected for his compassion instead of his arrogance. But Thomas had also never made a mistake like the one William had just made. He straightened his tie, smoothed his hair, and took the elevator to the 14th floor. The ride felt endless. His reflection in the metal doors looked calm, but he didn't feel it. When the doors opened, what he saw froze him in place. Isaiah sat at a table eating a sandwich, cleaner now, his eyes tired but calm. Someone had given him wipes to wash his face. In the bright light, William could see every detail he'd missed before. The boy had his mother's eyes, dark, gentle, but full of sadness. His small hands were rough and calloused, the hands of someone who'd had to grow up too early. Thomas sat across from him, papers spread across the table. William, Thomas said calmly. Thank you for coming. Sit down. William obeyed, feeling as if he were the one being judged. Isaiah glanced at him once, then looked back at his plate. I've reviewed everything about Isaiah's account, Thomas said. It's completely legitimate. The money comes from a life insurance policy his mother, Keisha Washington, paid into for over 10 years. It paid out 6 months ago when she passed. All taxes and legal requirements were met. There's no fraud, no laundering, nothing illegal. William opened the folder and read. Each page made his chest feel heavier. This wasn't some criminal trick. This was love written in numbers and contracts. A mother's sacrifice turned into security. Keisha Washington worked as a cleaner, Thomas continued. She cleaned several office buildings, including this one. She probably cleaned this very room many times. William's throat went dry. He thought about all the times he had left his office messy, expecting someone to clean it up without ever wondering who that someone was. She worked 60 to 70 hours a week, Thomas said. Sometimes more. Every spare dollar went to her kids or this policy. She never missed a single payment, even when she was sick or in the hospital. Isaiah wasn't eating anymore. Tears rolled silently down his face. The policy she chose grew with interest, Thomas explained. She planned it perfectly. The trust provides a monthly allowance, $15,000, to cover every need. The rest stays invested until Isaiah turns 25. William flipped through the details. The plan was flawless. College funds prepaid. Inflation accounted for. Future needs already planned. How did she know how to do this? William asked softly. She learned, Isaiah said. His voice cracked but was steady. I remember her staying up late reading. She said she was taking classes online to get better at reading, but she was studying how to take care of us. William stared at the boy. He felt something heavy inside him. Shame, real and deep. Thomas picked up the letter. Isaiah wanted me to read this aloud, he said, so you can understand who his mother was. He unfolded the paper and began to read. My dearest Isaiah, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone, and I'm so sorry I couldn't stay longer. I'm sorry for every birthday and every moment I'll miss. But I need you to know that I'm not sorry for my life. People will think I failed because I worked so much and had so little. But Isaiah, I was exactly who I needed to be. Your mother and Maya's mother. That was my purpose. This money isn't an apology for being poor. It's a promise. A promise that you and Maya will have chances I never had. You'll be able to dream without worrying about rent or food. But listen carefully, Isaiah. Money doesn't make you better than anyone else. It doesn't make you smarter or kinder or more worthy. The world will treat you differently now. Remember, the people who treat you well, because you're rich, are the same ones who would have looked down on you when you were poor. Be kind to people who work hard jobs. Remember that I was one of them. Every cleaner, cashier, and worker you meet has a story, has dreams, and has worth. Money is just money. What you do with it is what matters. Take care of your sister. Study hard. Build a good life. And most of all, be happy. That's all I ever wanted for you. I love you more than all the stars in the sky and more than all the words ever written. Forever your mother, Keisha Washington. The room was silent. Thomas refolded the letter and handed it back. Isaiah held it tightly against his chest. William swallowed hard. The words felt heavy as he spoke. Isaiah, he said quietly, I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry for how I treated you downstairs. For once, the proud banker had nothing else to say. Isaiah looked at William with tired, serious eyes. Are you sorry because you were wrong about the money, or because you were mean to a kid who didn't deserve it? The question hit hard. William wanted to say he was sorry for the right reasons, but the truth was more complicated. He was sorry for being wrong in front of everyone. He was sorry that it made him look bad. But somewhere beneath his pride, another feeling stirred. Something that reminded him of his own childhood, of his mother working 2 jobs before his father's business finally succeeded. Both, William said quietly. I'm sorry for both reasons. It's not enough, but it's honest. Isaiah watched him for a long time, then nodded slowly. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something close. So what happens now? Isaiah asked. Now, Thomas said. We set you up properly. You'll need a legal guardian until you're 18. Do you have family? Isaiah shook his head. Just Maya. Our mom was an only child. We don't have anyone else. Then we'll work with social services to find a guardian, Thomas said. The trust covers that cost, so we can choose someone good. We'll also move you out of your current building right away. I can help with that, William said suddenly. Both Thomas and Isaiah looked surprised. The boy is our client, William said. We have a responsibility to make sure he's safe. Part of him knew this could help his reputation, but another part, one that had been quiet for years, wanted to do it simply because it was right. There's a building 2 blocks from here, William said. Luxury apartments. Secure, clean, good schools nearby. The bank owns several units. I can have one ready for Isaiah and his sister within 2 days. Thomas hesitated, then nodded. That's very generous. Isaiah looked overwhelmed. I can't. That's too much. I only wanted to buy groceries. Isaiah, William said, and his voice was softer than before. Your life has changed. Your mother made sure you never have to worry about groceries again. She wanted you to be safe. I don't know how to be rich, Isaiah said quietly. You'll learn, Thomas told him. One step at a time. We'll help you. The sun was setting over the Bronx when William's black sedan pulled up in front of Isaiah's apartment building. The car looked completely out of place on the street. William had insisted on going with Isaiah to pick up Maya and their belongings. He said no child should have to do that alone. The building was 5 stories of old brick and broken windows. Rusted fire escapes hung crookedly from the walls. Trash bags lined the sidewalk. Graffiti covered every inch of concrete. This is where you live? William asked before catching himself. 4th floor, Isaiah said. The elevator's been broken for 2 years. William parked and locked the car twice. A group of teenagers on the steps watched them closely. William felt out of place in his suit and polished shoes, but Isaiah greeted the boys easily. Hey, Carlos. Miguel. Isaiah, one of them said. Man, where you been? Maya's been crying all day. Mrs. Rodriguez has been watching her. I know, Isaiah said. I'm here now. The boy eyed William suspiciously. Who's that? Someone who's helping me, Isaiah said. It's okay. Inside, the building smelled of mildew and cooking oil. The lights flickered. The walls were cracked and water-stained. They climbed the stairs past tired neighbors. An old woman with groceries, a young mother with children, a man in a work uniform. Each one greeted Isaiah kindly. When they reached the 4th floor, Isaiah stopped at a door marked 4C. The paint was chipped, the number crooked. "It's not much," he said. "But it was home." "I'm not thinking anything," William said, though his guilt said otherwise. Isaiah opened the door. The apartment was tiny, barely big enough for 2 people. The furniture was old but clean. The walls were covered with children's drawings. A vase of plastic flowers sat by the window. "Maya," Isaiah called. A small girl ran from the back room and threw herself into his arms. She had big brown eyes and messy braids. "Isaiah, I was scared you weren't coming back," she said. "I'll always come back," he promised. "But I have something to tell you. It's about Mom." Mrs. Rodriguez, their elderly neighbor, stepped out of the other room. Her hands were rough, her eyes kind. "Isaiah, thank God. Maya's been worried sick." Mrs. Rodriguez's gaze moved to William. "And who is this?" "This is Mr. Sterling," Isaiah said. "He's from the bank. Mom left us money, lots of money." Mrs. Rodriguez blinked, then pressed a hand to her chest. "Keisha," she whispered. "That woman always had a plan." Tears filled her eyes. "How much money, Mijo?" Isaiah looked at William, unsure. "Enough that they'll never have to worry again," William said gently. "Enough for good schools and a safe home." Mrs. Rodriguez covered her mouth, crying openly now. "She really did it," she said. "She took care of you." "Did what?" Maya asked. Isaiah knelt beside her. "Mom said she'd make sure we'd always have what we need. She did it, Maya. We can move to a nice apartment. You can go to a good school. We'll have food every day." Maya blinked. "So we won't be hungry anymore?" William turned away, his chest tight. That question hurt more than any insult he'd ever received. "No, baby," Isaiah said. "We'll never be hungry again." Mrs. Rodriguez wiped her tears. "Your mother used to come home at 3 in the morning and still braid Maya's hair before school. She worked doubles and never complained. We all knew she was sick, but she kept smiling anyway. She was dying," Isaiah said softly. "But she didn't want us to know. She was protecting you," William said. "Even when she was gone." Maya looked up at him. "Are you going to help my brother?" "Yes," William said simply. "I'm going to help both of you." "Okay," Maya said. "Can we bring Bunny?" She held up a worn stuffed rabbit with one ear hanging loose. "We can bring anything you want," Isaiah said. They spent the next hour packing what little they owned. A few clothes, some books, drawings, and photos of their mother. Everything fit into 4 garbage bags and a small suitcase. Neighbors came to say goodbye. Carlos and his friends carried bags. An elderly man pressed $20 into Isaiah's hand for emergencies. A young woman gave Maya a chocolate bar for the road. Mrs. Rodriguez hugged them both tightly. "Your mama raised you right," she said. "Don't let money change that." "We won't," Isaiah said. When they reached the car, William took the heavy bags himself. As they drove away, Isaiah looked back through the window. People waved from the steps, smiling through tears. William saw it too, a neighborhood with nothing, yet rich in ways money couldn't measure. Real community. Real care. When they were finally on the road, Isaiah spoke softly. "Thank you for coming with me. For not making me do this alone." William nodded. For once, he didn't have an answer. He just drove quietly, as the Bronx faded in the rearview mirror, and the last light of day glowed on the horizon. William gripped the steering wheel tightly. "Isaiah, I need to say something, and I need you to really hear it." Both children looked at him attentively. "What I did to you this morning at the bank, humiliating you, mocking you, treating you like you were nothing, was unforgivable. I've spent my entire career judging people based on their clothes, their addresses, their bank accounts. I've convinced myself that money equals worth, that success equals superiority." He turned to look at them directly. "But your mother, who cleaned toilets for a living, who worked herself to death, who never had expensive clothes or fancy cars, she was worth more than 1,000 men like me. She understood something I'd forgotten, that the measure of a person isn't what they have, it's what they give. Mom always said that being kind doesn't cost anything," Maya offered shyly. "Your mother was a wise woman," William said. "And I'm going to try, really try to be better. To be the kind of person who would have seen your mother's worth, who would have seen your worth, regardless of the numbers in your bank account." Isaiah nodded slowly. That's all she would have wanted, for people to try to be better. William put the car in gear and pulled away from the curb. In the rearview mirror, he could see the residents of the building waving goodbye, see Mrs. Rodriguez wiping her eyes on her apron. As they drove toward Manhattan, toward the luxury apartment that would be Isaiah and Maya's new home, William made himself a promise. He would help these children, yes. But more than that, he would let them help him. Help him remember what really mattered. Help him become the kind of person who saw value in everyone, not just those who could afford his services. It was, he realized, the most important education he'd ever receive. And his teachers were 12 and 8 years old. 3 months had passed since that Friday morning when 12-year-old Isaiah Washington walked into Sterling and Associates Bank with dirt on his face and fear in his eyes. 3 months since William Sterling's world had been changed by a boy and a letter from a mother who loved her children more than life itself. The Park Avenue apartment had become a real home. Maya's drawings filled one wall. Isaiah picked comfortable furniture instead of fancy ones. Stuffed animals sat beside new books. The kitchen often smelled like cookies because Maya had learned to bake with their new guardian, Mrs. Patterson. Mrs. Patterson was a retired teacher in her late 50s who had lost her daughter years ago. When she met Isaiah and Maya, she cared for them as if they were her own. But the biggest change was not in the apartment. It was in William Sterling. The morning after helping the kids move in, William arrived at work at 5 a.m. For the first time, he really looked around. He saw the cleaning crew working quietly, emptying trash and mopping floors. They were invisible to everyone else. At 6 a.m., he walked up to their supervisor. "Good morning," he said. "I'm William Sterling. I own this bank, and I would like to know your name and the names of your team." The woman, named Gloria, looked surprised. In 20 years, no one had ever spoken to her directly. William listened as Gloria told him about the low pay, long hours, and lack of respect. For once, he truly listened. By Monday morning, he called a board meeting. "Gentlemen," he said, "I am proposing major changes to how we run this bank." It was the most heated meeting in company history. William suggested tripling the wages of cleaning and maintenance staff, adding health insurance, paid vacation, and scholarships for their children. "Have you lost your mind?" one man shouted. "This will destroy profits." "Good," William said calmly. "Our profits are too high. It is time to treat people like people." The vote was close, but William won. 2 members resigned. He did not care. He went further, investigating complaints and firing managers who created fear. Promotions became fair. Employees started speaking up, and this time William listened. The media mocked him. Headlines read "Sterling goes soft," and investors fear CEOs change. William told them, "I met someone who showed me what real wealth looks like, and it is not money." One October afternoon, while reviewing reports, his assistant buzzed. "Mr. Sterling, Isaiah and Maya Washington are here to see you." William smiled. "Send them in." Isaiah and Maya entered, and William was amazed by how much they had changed. Isaiah now wore clothes that fit, his face was clean, and the fear in his eyes had been replaced by peace and confidence. He still carried grief for his mother, but there was hope now too. Maya was thriving. She went to a new school where she was getting straight A's. She had friends, she was healthy, and she was finally getting to be a child again. Something she hadn't been able to do in a long time. "Mr. Sterling," she said, running to hug him. "I got 100 on my math test." "That's wonderful, Maya," William said, smiling. "Did you bring it to show me?" She proudly pulled the paper from her backpack. William looked it over and then opened his desk drawer, pulling out a gold star sticker. "This goes in your achievement book," he said. Maya grinned, added the sticker to her paper, then sat quietly with a book while the adults talked. Isaiah took a seat across from William. His expression was serious. "I wanted to talk to you about something important." "Of course," William said. "What is it?" "I've been thinking about what my mom wanted, not just for me and Maya, but for other families like ours. She said money is just money. It's what you do with it that matters. I want to start a foundation for kids like us whose parents work hard but still struggle to survive." William's heart swelled with emotion. "That's a wonderful idea, Isaiah. What kind of help would it give?" "Everything," Isaiah said. "Food, school supplies, tutoring, helping parents find better jobs. But more than that, I want people to really see those kids, the way you didn't see me at first." William didn't argue. "You're right. What are you thinking of calling it?" Isaiah pulled a notebook from his backpack. the Keisha Washington Foundation for Working Families. And I want to start it with $10 million from my trust. William blinked in surprise. That's a huge amount of money. I know, Isaiah said. But that's what Mom would have wanted. She didn't save so we could buy things. She saved so we could make a difference. William nodded slowly. You understand this is serious work. It takes time and effort to manage something like that. I do, Isaiah said. That's why I was hoping you'd help me. You know how to make things work. William was silent for a moment. 3 months ago, he would have laughed at the idea. Now he felt nothing but pride. I'd be honored to help, he said finally. On one condition. Isaiah looked curious. What condition? That you let me match your donation. I'll give $10 million too. Your mother changed my life, Isaiah. This is my way of honoring her. Isaiah's eyes widened. You'd really do that? William nodded. 3 months ago, I only cared about money and power. I was miserable, even if I pretended not to be. But your mother's love for you and Maya, it showed me what real success looks like. He stood by the window, looking out at the city. I've been trying to be a better man. I've started caring about people again. I even reconnected with my daughter after years of silence. Isaiah smiled. Did you see her? Yes. We had coffee for 3 hours. I told her about you and Maya. She said she's proud of me. No one said that to me in years. Maya looked up from her book. I'm proud of you too, Mr. Sterling. The simple words hit William hard. He smiled through tears. Thank you, Maya. Just then, Thomas Anderson knocked on the door. Sorry to interrupt, William, but the Channel 7 News crew is here for the interview. Interview? Isaiah asked. William nodded. They want to talk about how meeting you changed me. But I won't do it without your permission. Will it help people? Isaiah asked. I think it will, William said honestly. It might make others think about how they treat people. Then I'll do it, Isaiah said. But I want to talk about my mom. The interview took place in the bank's conference room. The reporter, Sarah Chun, smiled kindly. Mr. Sterling, she said. 3 months ago, you were known as one of the toughest executives in banking. What changed? William looked at Isaiah, who nodded for him to continue. I met a boy who made me realize I was measuring success the wrong way. I judged him for being poor. Then I learned about his mother, Keisha Washington, a woman who worked 3 jobs, went hungry for her kids, and built them a future more powerful than any fortune I've ever managed. Isaiah shared stories about his mom, how hard she worked, how much she loved them, how she never gave up. Maya added her own memories. Her mom braiding her hair before school, kissing her goodnight no matter how tired she was. The money means we don't have to struggle anymore, Isaiah said. But the real gift my mom left us was how to be good people. To work hard, to care for others, and to treat everyone with respect. Sarah turned to William. And that inspired all the changes at your bank. It did, William said. We raised wages, improved benefits, and created scholarships. We stopped running the company through fear and started leading with respect. Some people say you've gone soft, Sarah said. William smiled. Our profits went up. When people are treated well, they do their best work. Sarah laughed softly. So no regrets? None, William said. For years I cared about impressing other rich men. Now I care about being someone my daughter, and kids like Isaiah and Maya, can be proud of. The interview lasted an hour. When it ended, Isaiah thanked William. Thank you for letting me be part of this, William said. You, your sister, and your mom changed my life. You gave me back my humanity. Maya hugged him. You're a good person now. I'm trying, William said, smiling. Every day I'm trying. After they left, William sat alone in his office, watching the sun set over Manhattan. He thought about Keisha Washington, a woman he'd never met, but who had changed his world forever. He picked up the phone and called Thomas. Let's expand our employee programs, childcare, education, support for families. I don't want to wait. Thomas chuckled softly. Then we'll start tomorrow. When William hung up, he began writing emails to his daughter, his ex-wife, and employees he'd wronged. Real apologies. He had a lot to fix, but for the first time in his life, his work truly mattered. It had all started with a 12-year-old boy who just wanted to check his balance, and a man who finally learned that real wealth isn't measured in money, but in kindness, love, and respect. The number on the screen that day, $47 million, had frozen his smile. But what followed had unfrozen his heart.